I want to get to Saudi Arabia, to the sovereign wealth fund, because they delivered a 25% return last year. That's more than doubling an annual return of 12% between 2017 and 2020. It saw gains as stocks surged around the world. Simone Foxman has more on this. She joins us from London. So Simone, this is the exact report card that investors are going to be searching for. What are some of the other numbers?
Yeah, well, that 25% gain roughly mirroring the gains in the S&P 500 last year, which was up 27%. When you dive into the kind of things that Saudi PIF has owned, very heavily exposed to the tech sector, that's something that has not seen those same performance continue. So you kind of wonder what those numbers are this year. But that said, all of this, those 25% gains in Saudi PIF in the stock portfolio, in the portfolio, I should say beyond stocks as well, is something that's going to help further Mohammed bin Salman's ambitions. Again, he's the chairman of the PIF, to grow this sovereign wealth fund to more than $1 trillion by 2030. Also something we're watching as an indication of how investors may respond to a potential green bond issuance. That's where these numbers came out of a prospectus there. There's been some concern among investors that, do you want to invest in a green bond issued by a country that produces one of the largest emissions, oil emissions, responsible for those in terms of selling its energy in the world? But at the same time, you're looking at pretty positive investment returns. So maybe that's a factor that will speak into Saudi PIF's favor in issuing these bonds.
I want to stay with Saudi Arabia and get to Phil Mickelson, because it was him and other top golfers. They withdrew from a lawsuit against the PGA Tour over their participation in the events held by the Saudi-backed Live Golf. Just tie all that together for us.
Yeah, this is not the end of Live Golf's legal battle with the PGA Tour in the United States. Phil Mickelson, as well as some other top golfers, simply stepping back from their lawsuit, accusing the PGA Tour of being anti-competitive because, as Phil Mickelson put it, he doesn't necessarily need damages from this lawsuit personally. He just wants to see the overall system of golf change. So expect more controversy around the Live versus PGA overall golf issues. We expect to see this lawsuit carry through and start in January 2024. And as long as Live Golf is in the news, there is controversy. There's been pushback from fans, not just in the United States, but also around the world. So this is an issue we're going to have to be following at least for the next 6 months, probably for the next year, if not beyond.
You say step back. If I was getting paid what he gets paid, I'd also feel comfortable about stepping back. On a more serious note, protests continuing in Iran. The United Nations has called on the government to avoid disproportionate force against protesters. What does the chronology of events look like?
Look, Yusuf, it's very hard to understand what's going on in Iran right now because there have been those major disruptions to the internet, disruptions to various internet services. So we're just seeing this sort of trickle of information come out of the country. But what we have seen is very prominent stars of screen and sports speak out against the government's response to these protests, against the government's response, treatment of women overall, supporting essentially these protesters. We've seen several major screen actresses come out and stand in support of these protests. We also saw the Iranian national soccer team cover up Iranian symbols by wearing jackets at a friendly with Senegal yesterday. This is their last friendly really ahead of the World Cup. So that's sending a very potent message. We've seen U.S. providers of internet services, specifically Elon Musk's Starlink, try to bring internet back to the country, but it's just challenges here, and until we get more information about what's coming out of the country, it's really difficult to say what's going on. Our best sense is that these protests continue to intensify. The crackdown from the government continues to intensify as well.